Yeah. So any more questions before we go ahead? All right, so I'm putting all of you on mute. Right, if you have a question, unmute yourself and go ahead. So, right, so, yeah. Yeah, Jay, go ahead, ask your question. Jake, can you talk a little louder? Your voice is not at all audible. Jay, I'm not able to listen to you. You can chat, you can ping your question. I'm not able to listen to you. Okay. So can you ping me your question, Jay? Yeah. How to read multiple flat files as a single source, right? So first you have to connect all these multiple flat files to the file formats, okay, the way we attach them. And then if multiple flat files has the same metadata, means all the multiple flat files that you are trying to read is having the same structure, then you can merge all these things into a single source. So you can use a merge transformation if they have the same structure. If not, then you have to use a query transformation and propose a join between all these files and then pull all the records, all the columns that you need and make them into a single source. Is that clear, Jay? Okay. All right. So any more questions? Welcome, Jay. So good to go. So today we will look at the data quality transformation, which is match transformation, and this is the only transformation which comes free of cost from all the data quality transformations. So remaining transformations, whatever you see here, US regulatory address cleansing, for example, needs a US address directory to be purchased from SAP in order to utilize this transformation. So if you look at these transformations, okay, all the transformations just look alike. So they have an options, input and output tabs. So in the options you'll be customizing them, and once you customize them you click on verify to see if the conditions that you have given is correct or not. Input best practices like input column names and output column names, you can click on these column names so that they'll be displayed in the output. So this is how these things will be present. Even the match transformation exactly looks the same. So that is the reason why I thought like at least one transformation we will cover in the match transformation. So if you look at this one, options, input best practice and output best practice. So, and on top of that, it will give you a notes here which will help you to understand what has to be done in terms of when you are using the data quality transformations. So even though we use them in our jobs, we cannot execute them. The only transformation which is not cost effective in data quality is the match transformation. So today we will look at the match transformation and how do we utilize this match transformation when we are using a data quality issue. So generally we have some scenarios like we have the potential duplicates. As I told you, there are chances of having potential duplicates in your data, and that gives you a complete misled reports when you are working on the data. So I have one Excel. Okay, so if you look at this Excel, here if you look at this one, the same customer ID is repeated until now, till here the contact title, everything is same. But in the first 4 rows, okay, so only one row has address and all the remaining 2 rows, only 2 rows has address and the remaining 2 rows are missing. Then if you look at the phone number, the first row is and the third row is empty and the second and fourth row has the phone number, and these are the 2 columns that we are considering as of now just to demonstrate an example. So if you ask the system to compare these 2 or these 4 rows, the system can never identify them as a duplicate record, because when you ask the system to do a comparison, the system does a row-to-row comparison. So the image of the first row is compared to the second row, and here the first row is having a blank in phone number and the second one is having a phone number here. And when the first row is compared to the third row, the first row is having a blank in the address and here it is address is present. And this one, the fourth row, we can actually delete this one to demonstrate it in a nice way. Alright, so here we have 3, okay, these 4, and these 4 are completely unique columns. So when you ask the system to identify them as a duplicate, the system cannot identify them as duplicates, because when you compare the image of first row to the second row or second row to the first row and so on, they are unique records because of the structure of data that is present in them. So one or the other column has an empty cell here, so that is the reason why they are not comparable. So those 4 rows can be identified as separate rows by the system. But if you look at these 4 rows, these are the potential duplicates of the data. So the system cannot identify them, yet these are the potential duplicates. So for this reason, we use the match transformation of data services to identify the potential duplicates. And also what we will do is we will create a best record strategy on top of this, where this address is posted into the first box and this phone number is posted into the first box, and the entire complete row is sent into the target system. So this strategy is called the best record strategy. So when it identifies the first record that gets fetched is called the master record, and all the remaining records, the potential duplicate records that it gets fetched, are called the subordinate records. So the posting happens from the subordinate to the master in order to create a complete record. So that we'll be looking at now, how the BODS system support you to create a best record strategy and identify the duplicates, identify the potential duplicates and do a consolidation on top of that to create a best record. So this is one of the useful transformations of BODS. So first let me close this, because when I keep this open and when I try to execute the job, it will throw an error. So now first thing that I need to do is attach this flat file to my BODS system. Edit, so I call this as match underscore source, and from the directory, okay, I have it in my source flat files directory, and I select the path. The path is match source.xls. Remember one thing, XLS can only be read. XLSX, the latest version, cannot be read by the BODS system, so keep that in mind. And worksheet, sheet 1, use the first row values as the column names and import schema. Okay, the table structure is imported. As I told you, it's a bug with the tool. Sometimes it might throw an error on the double, or sometimes it will ignore that. So just try to convert that to avoid such kind of errors. Click on OK, and your match source file is added. Now create a job underscore match. Okay, create a data flow, df underscore match, and use this source here, right? So you created a job, you created a data flow, and you are using this flat file as a source here. Now go to the transformations, open the match transformations. So these are the different match strategies that you can identify. So match strategy is nothing but you try to match your data with the existing records, the first record or the data in your table with the existing records of the table, in order to find a proper match and identify a duplicate record. So when you do a matching, a match score will come, and this match score defines what is the match between the first row and the second row, and if it is 80%, then it takes it to be a potential duplicate. So you can select the base match transformation, drag and drop it, connect it, open the base match transformation. Now you see input, options, and output. So the columns on which you will be working, especially the address and phone number. So you need to drag and drop them into the input, because these two columns will be used in creating the best record strategy. So you need them to be present. And output columns, so whatever you drag and drop here, or whatever the things that you utilize, will be present in output, and all you need to do is check them so that they will be present here. Alright, so now let us do it in a little different way. I will take it through a wizard where I can create this one. So right click on the source table and go for run match wizard. Okay, so now this is a complete illustrative part, so this covers all the topics, so that is the reason why I'm taking this wizard. So select match strategy. So first initial step that you need to do is select a strategy on which you want to perform this match. So there are consumer householdings, corporate householdings, multinational consumer match, identify a person multiple ways, and find the overlap. So there are different things that you can identify a match with. So let us initially go with a simple match. Okay, so click on next. So by default it is taking the customer ID column here, so we can change that. Just click on next, and now how many match sets you want to perform. So match set, here we'll be doing a single match set on the company name from. So because a person with the same ID cannot be working in the same company. So I mean two persons with the same person name ID cannot be working on the same company. So we'll be taking the firm name here as a match criteria, and on top of that firm name I'm creating a set. So if you want to cross check on the phone number, then you can create another set and call a comparison on the phone number, but in our data the phone number is missing. So phone number can be a unique number present with different persons. So that can be one match criteria that you can look at. So first one, the criteria that I'm selecting, these are the different criteria that you can identify a potential duplicate. With the company name, email ID, PAN numbers or SSN numbers, phone numbers, family name, given name, address, full name. So let us take firm name here. And if you want to create one more criteria, you can create on phone number. So, and you have to increase the criteria sets to 2 here. Okay. So I'm taking only one set, which is called as firm, and click on next. Now from the drop down here, so you have a drop down, I have to select on which column I am doing this uh, match with the firm. So firm means your company name, so you can select the company name and click on next. And next one is the define a break key. So when you have huge volume of data, the first record company name searching with all the remaining records of the tables will not make sense. So you have to break them into a different buckets so that the search within the bucket happens pretty fast. So you break those things, break the entire data into different buckets on a particular column. For example, it could be a region or it could be your postal code. So now what I'm trying to do is I am trying to break the data in terms of postal code so that each and every postal code will become a separate bucket and the search within that bucket happens pretty fast. And on top of that, once the search completes within all these buckets, the overall search will happen and it gives you a performance booster thing. So you click on finish and now you see the match set one, the same thing that we dragged and dropped here, it is created. So now open this, okay. So now we want to work on the columns like address and the phone number. So select the address, drag and drop here, and the phone number, drag and drop here. And go to the output column, remove the address and remove the phone number because we want this to be calculated and a best record to be created on top of that. So these two has to be reported. So if you go to the options, you can see what we have done. So go to the options tab, click on edit options. Okay, so transform options set one we created, and we created a break group on the postal code. The match criteria is the firm name and the match score is 78%, no match is 77%. And these are the statistics that are present here. So match length is 60. So the firm name is, actually it is a company name. So just give me a second. I don't find a company name available here because I did not drag the company name column into the input list. So I drag company name here, go to the options, go to edit options, now go to the match criteria, click on firm and select company name here. Okay, generally firm is equal to company, so the system is not able to identify the name here, so that is the reason why it is missing. So click on apply and click on OK. So if you want to add a few more match strategies, you can go to the match criteria, right click and go for add a criteria, and you will get extra criteria here, and you can see the criteria here as where you see firm. Click on that and match the column whatever you want, and you can also move that up and down, add or remove, you can do that. So click on apply and click on OK. Now your match transformation is ready. Go to the output and we'll do that a little later. Address and phone number, you check these things, and these things will be coming with the double arrow, means this output address and phone number will be the processed ones. I'll show you the difference. So click on a template table, call it as match and target data store, connect it, validate the job to see if there are any errors. No errors found. Right click the job and execute. So now the output table which we are trying to create, the match table, will come up with the statistics like how many records are matched, what is the match score for that, and all those things. So you need to see this one. I'm popping up the table so that it will be visible in full way. So now if you look at this first three records, LFKI, so let me filter on the customer. Okay, now I see only three records here. Now you see the extra columns, like the group number is 1 because this is one group of potential duplicates, and the match score, these first two records match score is 100%, and this one is blank because there is mismatch in the data. The number of group records, potential duplicates in this particular group are 3. So that is the reason why we get 3 here. And if you look at the data, one master record and two subordinate records are present. So remember, this is most important, master and the subordinate records. So whichever the record that gets picked first the from the database table or from your source flat file, first pick will become the master and the remaining two will become the subordinate records. And if you look at this one, subordinate one has the address and subordinate 2 has the phone number, and this is how we identify the potential duplicates. Now we need to do something like we need to copy this over street 57 and paste it in the master record, and then the phone number and paste it in the master record to create a complete master record. Right? So what we will do is, let me close this. Now go back to the match criteria, go to the options, go to edit options, and there is one thing called post-match processing. So once you do a match and identify the potential duplicates, you do a post-match processing in order to create a best record. So select the post-match processing, right-click, add, go to best record strategy. So these are the different things that you can do: group prioritization, statistics, unique ID. So I'm creating a best record. So best record, you can call this as best. So we are trying to do on two columns. So I'll do these two here, best address. So that is the name that I have given to this one. And the strategy is non-blank columns. You can do a custom strategy, date, length, priority number, priority string. My strategy here for the best record is, the record is called as a best record if it is having non-blank values. So I select it as non-blank. The strategy field on which first I want to work on is address and posting destination. So you want either subordinates or master to subordinates, or you want the posting to be done to the all records, or you want only to the master. You can select them here, because when you do a posting to all the records, then they'll become exact duplicates, and again you have to eliminate those duplicates. So I'm doing a posting to the master. And post only once for the destination, yes, because the number of potential duplicates, every time how it works is it finds a value in the subordinates and it does not find a value on the master. It tries to do a posting. So it repeats the postings a number of times. So we don't want to do that. We don't want it to happen only one time. The source is address, and click on the destination field, automatically it will choose. And here you have one more option, custom yes or no. So we generally go for no. If you want to do some more coding on that, go for yes. And this is a Python window. You click on this one, a Python script will be open here, and you can write your own Python script to do some customization on top of that. So initially we go for no, and click on apply and click on OK, right? So validate the job. I just created address best record strategy, and I'll click on OK and execute the job. Okay, yeah, the job is successfully completed. Now let us do the same filter on the data. So let me pop this table and right, so let us go this side a little. So what address is coming as T? One second. Yeah, Rishabh, I'm not talking, I'm just checking this thing. There is some mishap happening and it is giving only a T value, and when we are doing address by, it is giving the phone number as T. So just give me a second. Let me try to do this. One more time. I'm taking the break here as the postal code. Click on finish. This is created. Now open this one, go to options, okay, go to input tab, drag and drop company name, address and phone number. Okay, go to the options, edge the options, and go to the firm, select company name here, click on apply and OK. Go to the output tab, phone number and address, delete these two, click this phone number and address. Go to the map set, options, edit options, PostMatch Processing, add best record. Best address, the strategy is non-blank. The strategy field is address. The posting per destination is master. Postal only for once per destination. The source field is address and the destination is address. Custom programming is no. Click on apply. Then add one more best record strategy. Best underscore phone, the same strategy, non-blank. Strategy field is the phone number, posting to the master. Yes, select the source, phone number, posting per destination is phone, and the customer is no. And click on apply. So you have two best address and this phone number here. Click on OK. Go back. Execute the job. Alright, so now open this table. Alright, so now you see on the master record, the posting is done with the address and the phone number. But initially, when we did not do the best record strategy, the phone number and address columns are empty. Address columns are empty in the master record. So now what we do is, this is the group rank where we see the master and subordinate records. So now what we do is we add one more query transformation here in order to eliminate all the duplicates, potential duplicates. Okay, go to the where condition and say where join rank is equal to M. That stands for master. So select what are the columns that you need to display in the output table. Just ignore the matched rank, score, strategy, and all those things. Select the phone number and address, drag and drop them to the outside. And now just save this job and re-execute this one. Now once the job is executed, it is expected that the potential records, the potential duplicate records, what you have in your source, are no more available in your target, and as well as you are creating a best record which has all the values populated. So it has the phone number, it has the address, and it is a complete record, and you do not have any more ALFKI present in your source data. Okay, So you can select all these things and you can just get only the master record to the target table. So this is a small mistake that I have done here, where I can say that this one is not equal to, yes, because for the remaining columns it will not be populated, so that is the reason why it is pushing only one record. Right, see, now you see all the data available here. So this is one way which you can eliminate the potential duplicates on your system. So here you have a count of 93 records, 2 extra records. These 2 are the potential duplicates. Now they are eliminated, as well as the complete record is created on your target system. So is this clear? Any questions on this match strategy? Alright, so if you have any questions when you start working on this, just don't forget to send me an email. Alright, so once the data quality is done, then we will be looking at okay, so we have a chat message here. Could you briefly repeat the whole thing? Right, Jay. Good. So the concept what we are trying to do using the match transformation is, if you have a potential duplicates and the system cannot identify these as the exact duplicates, and we use the match transformation, do a match strategy and identify the exact potential duplicates in the data, and also on top of that we are using the best record strategy to create a best record out of these potential duplicates, so that there will be one record which will be populated completely from subordinates to the master. The first record which gets triggered from the source table or read from the source table becomes your master, and all the remaining records becomes your subordinates. And in the best record we are trying to do a posting from subordinate to the master in order to create a best record. So that is what we are trying to do here. So in the input tab, just drag and drop all the columns that you need for the process, because address and phone number, we are trying to create a best record strategy on top of them. Company name, because we are trying to do a match strategy on that by saying that company name is equal to firm. Postal code, because we are trying to do a break key on the postal code, break the data into different buckets based on the postal code. So now you go to options, edit options. So first you define a break key, that is the postal code. Then level 1 of matching, just give the name. Then match criteria is the firm name, and firm is equal to the company name. Then PostMatch Processing, you can create best address and best phone number. So I just give the name here. The strategy is non-blank. The field on which I'm doing the strategy source field is address. It is posting to the master and only once per destination. You select the source field and automatically the destination field is selected, and you click on no for the custom because we are not trying to create any Python script. Similarly, you create the same for the phone number. Click on apply and OK, and you execute the job, and you get to see the values populated into the target table, and one complete row which is marked as master will be populated with the full values, and the subordinates will be left behind, and only the master record is sent to the target tables. Okay, is that okay, Jay? Yeah, is that okay? Yeah, okay, right, good, welcome. So we have another 20 minutes left. So we will try to choose one small topic. Okay, so data store configurations, and we'll try to do reconciliation and data store configurations. These are two small topics. And tomorrow we'll be looking at insight and management console. Right. So data store configurations and reconciliations. So These two are two separate topics. So first, let us look at the data store configurations. So what is data store configuration and why we need something like that? So you are in, this is, sorry, one second. So this is your development environment, this is your quality, and this is your production environment. So now you created a job on the development environment and you executed that. Okay, you created your job in the development environment and you executed that. So everything is fine. You did all the change requests and all those things, and the final code is uploaded into the central repository. And now you are working on the development box. Now you want to execute the code on the quality box. So what you need to generally do is you need to do a code promotion. Means you need to migrate the code from development to the quality system, and then execute the code on the quality system. Because why we do something like this? Because when we work on the different systems on a fresh database, if there are any errors, we can identify that. Without working on a fresh database, you cannot see the results, because sometimes these databases get so nasty with this number of executions, because when we are creating the job, we execute it more than 10 times, and the testers test it more than another 10, 20 times. So the database takes these values, deleted and added, and added on the system, and sometimes they get cranky and they do not delete. So even though you have to literally go to the database and write a drop all table statement so that all the tables will be dropped and recreated. So somehow, somewhere, these tables get populated with the bad values. So to retest all the things that you do on the development environment, do a quality check on the data, you execute that on a fresh database that is called the quality system. And if you find out any issues with the data, you try to modify your jobs, cleanse that problems, and then again you execute that on the mock systems, mock 1, mock 2, and mock 3. And again, finally, when everything is pucka, then you go for a pre-go live testing. So that is called dummy go live. So you just execute everything on a dummy system to identify if there are still further any issues with the data. If everything is perfect, then you execute that on a production system, and that is called as the go live of the project. So there are so many systems in between the development and the production systems that you'll be executing your code in. So you'll be working on a quality, DCTs, DSTs, data string testing, then UATs, user acceptance test, and you can be working on mocks. Mock is like a mock drill that you perform. So you perform multiple mocks so that the final output data that you are sending to the target system will be 100% good. So this is a scenario why we need to execute the code on different environments, so that once we execute on a fresh database, then we can understand that, okay, this is good. So when you execute, generally you do a code promotion between the design developer system to the quality system, and again, once it is done, you need to move the code back to the production system. But instead of moving my code, there are so many difficulties that can happen, that you might lose the structure of the job, or you might lose some global variables that you are using, or some data flows are not properly copied. So it gives you a mishap. So to avoid such kind of things, what you can do is you can point your system to different environments and execute the job, rather than moving the code from one environment to the another. You remain in the development environment, but you configure your system in a way that at one selection it goes and executes on the quality, and the second selection it goes and executes on production system. So it is a drop down that is available on the execution of job window. So you can choose which environment you want to execute the job. So look at that concept today. I think that will be enough for the next 15 minutes. Right, this is one of the most important things, and guys, trust me, go and talk about this in your interviews. So nobody knows about these configurations outside an organization. People who work on the projects, they only know these things. People outside will never teach also about these things, but this is one of the most important things that everybody should know before they start working on the project, because uh, on a run they will just say that, okay, here are the jobs available, now go and create configurations and execute. Well, they'll not even say configurations. They'll just say like, okay, test these jobs on the next environment. So what we generally tend to do is like, okay, testing means we have to move the code from one environment to another. So now, if you are executing a job, okay, you don't get to see anything here. Okay, so first you need to create the configurations, then you need to create the system configuration, and then you will see those system configurations available at the time of execution exactly here at this box, and you can choose these things at the time of execution so that you can point your code to execute on a development system, on a production system, or on a quality system. Right. So first let us go and create the configurations. Select a data store, right click and click on edit, advanced. So we did all these things, but we did not see about the configurations. So click on configurations. Next to the configurations, click on edit button. So you get all the credentials, means the server name to which you are pointing to, the database name, username and password. So what type of server is that, which version of that is this. So here on the right hand side, on the left hand side top, you can create a new configuration or you can duplicate the existing configuration, so that you can just change the server names, username and password. So I'm duplicating these configurations here. So first configuration, double click, I call this as development. The second configuration, double click, I call it as quality. Third configuration, I call it as production. So now here you have to change, let us assume that this is the development server's database. Now you have to change the quality server database and give the production server database, the server names, the database names, users and password. You have to give all these things, and remember you have to click on apply. If you don't click on apply, these configurations will not be saved. So click on apply. I'm not doing changing these server names because I have only one server at the backend. So I'm just creating the configurations here. And you want to choose which configuration. You can choose here. So you can make one as yes, and if you make anyone as yes, that will be the default data store configuration. So click on apply and click on OK. Now if you see configurations, you have three configurations here. Click on apply and click on OK. Now similarly, go to the next data store, edit, advanced, edit, duplicate the configurations, call this as development, call this as quality, call this as production, click on apply, click on OK, apply and OK. Because this is an SAP system, this is present in US, so it will take a little time. Alright, so click on OK. Now go to the next data store, right click, click on edit, advanced, configuration edit, duplicate the configurations, rename them, development, quality and production. Click on OK, click on OK, apply and OK. Now your job is ready. Now if you want to execute the job on a development environment, so just go to each and every data store, go to the configurations, make development as yes and execute the job. So how many times we'll do that? There should be something on top of that where we bind all these data stores into one configurations, all the quality into one configurations and all the productions into one configurations. So we need system configurations. So go to tools, go to system configurations. Okay, so you see the system configurations, all the data stores here. Create one system configuration, call it as development. Create another, call it as quality, call one more and call it as production. Alright, so now go to the development and select development, development, and development. So I'm binding all these configurations into a single thread called the system configurations. So for quality, I'm going as quality. So now you understand, like if you want to execute your code rather than moving the code to another system, I can just create a configuration and I can just execute my code. Now when I execute my code, I get system configurations extra box here, which will allow me to choose if it is a development environment, if it is a production environment, or if it is a quality environment. So based on this, I can execute the job in different environments. There is no need for me to physically move the code from one system to another. So this one is ruled out, but there is no need for me to physically move the code from one system to another. Rather than I create the data store configurations within my designer and I just create a system configuration, and I utilize this system configuration to choose on which environment that I want to execute, either to the development or quality or the production systems. Okay, so this is one of the most important concept called data store configurations and system configurations. This is quite useful for you when you start working on the project, because development is not the end of the story in data services. So you have to go through so many CRs, you have to go through so many test process, test cycles, so that your data is 100% good. Then only you'll be loading it into the target system. So this is one of the most important things that is very important in your day-to-day migration activities. Okay, any questions on this? Data store configurations. And next one is reconciliation. So reconciliation is nothing related to the BODS tool. It is just a concept. So just let me create an Excel sheet. Alright, so this is your source system, and you are extracting some 1000 records from your source table. And this is your target system, and you are able to load only 750 records into the target system. Because we developers understand that we apply some filter criteria, we do some deduplication, and we do some validations, and all the invalid records, duplicate records, or filtered records get kicked off. But the data owner always looks at the count of records that we extracted from the database and count of records that we loaded into the target database. So he is least bothered about where the data went missing, unless and until we give him a clear example of what is done. So when we do our job, the first thing is we do a filtering on the job, then we do a deduplication on the job, then we do a validation on the job. Okay, so filter. So filter gives two sorts of records. One is good and bad. So filter records and non-filter records. Okay, duplicates gives you good and bad records. So duplicates and non-duplicates. And valid gives you two sets of records, valid and invalid, right? So these are the different outputs that we get when we do a filtering. When we do filtering, for example, on these 1000 records, we are doing a filtering, and we got 900 good records and 100 bad records. And next we are doing a deduplication on the data, and we get 50 bad. Out of now 900 is an input for this, so we get 800 good records and 100 duplicates. duplicates. And we perform a validation on this, and we get 750 good records and 50 bad records. Now you see these 750 records are loaded directly into the target table, or sometimes due to the bad data that we have in 750, so some records get kicked off when we are trying to do a load, so these records get filled, so only 700 might be loaded. Now reconciliation is something like the number of records that are extracted from the source is equal to the number of I'm writing a formula here, is equal to the number of records, okay, the number of records that we are taking loaded into the target system, that is L2, then the number of records that went invalid, okay, that is 50, which is K2 colon the number of records that went into duplicates, that is H2 colon, and number of records that are bad, that is E2. I think I messed up the formula. I think this is not right. Okay. Right. So the simple thing is you get 100 bad records, take that, you had 100 duplicates, take that, and you have 15 valids, take that, and you have 750 records that are loaded into the target system. Okay, so now you take the sum of all these records. Okay, now it gives you the sum as 1000. Sum of selected cells is 1000, which is equal to the sum of records that you have extracted from the source. So now you tell the data owners that, guys, I captured these 100 records as a filter records, 100 as duplicates, 50 as invalid, and these are the 750 records that I loaded into the target system. So when you give the report, you give the report along with the reconciliation. So end of the job, just create one more data flow and try to create these values. Try to just write the formulas like you can get the count of tables by giving the count of functions. So you can use these functions to create a strategy at end of the job, or you can do a manual calculation as well, and you can send this reconciliation report along with the output so that the data owner will not get back to you and ask like, what happened to my data? So he'll not ask you that question. So this is how the reconciliation concept will help you to conclude how many records are extracted, how many are loaded into the target system. Alright, so this is about the reconciliation. This is again one more important concept which generally happens on a project. So generally it is not known or available outside, but that is a common sense that everybody should know about, or everybody should know, because I myself, I did not know what is reconciliation, because when you get into the project, you use different terminologies, you use different Polish language and all this stuff. But when somebody asks me to just cross-check the count from source to target, I does that manually. But when somebody says that do a reconciliation, I might not understand what he is talking about. So reconciliation is all about this, and so tomorrow we'll be looking at the different concepts like data insight and management console. So once we are done with that, we'll be looking at the real-time jobs day after tomorrow. So this is once we complete the real-time jobs, we'll be completing the entire technical things. Then we'll look at the projects on 2 days. So so in another 4 days, probably 4 to 5 days, we'll be closing the course. Okay. So all right, do practice more and send me emails. If you have any questions, please email me. And any questions before we wind up? All right, guys. Thanks for your time. Have a good day and good night ahead. Enjoy.